So we just had history in the making. If you haven't watched my live stream, I did a live stream, but I'll do a video as well. Basically, the Superman number 1, 9.0, just sold at Heritage Auctions. Sold for $9.1 million. Here it is right here. You can see it, $9.1 million. Now, a lot of people were confused when they're like, why does it say like 7 something? Well, you have to add in the buyer's premium. But here it is, $9.1 million. That is a record for all comic books. All. The previous record was an Action number 1 that sold about 3 years ago for $6 million. So think about that. The previous record 3 years ago for an Action Comics number 1 was $6 million. And the previous before that, I think it was like $5 million or something. I don't know. I can't remember. And then I think there was a Superman number 1 and 8.0 that sold pretty high as well, close to 6 as well. Anyways, so that was previous record was $6 million. I believe is the Action one. And here's a Superman number 1 and a 9.0 selling for 9.1 just 3 years later. Huge thing. There's also other comic books that sold pretty well in this auction. If we look at like say this, it's this Hulk 181, as you can see right here, selling for $72,000. And if you compare that to previous sales of this book, was $55,000 was the last sale of this one. And all of 2025 averaged less than this. Basically, you have to go back to 2023 to get a price this good. Fantasy 15 sold about in line what it normally would sell for. This FF 48 sold pretty well as well. But of course, this was the big one selling for, $9.1 million. Just kind of crazy selling for that price. So what does this mean for the overall market and comic books in general? It's kind of wild time. So basically you have some rich people that are just getting more insanely rich, but the average person, not so much. It's going to be a tough time for the average person as, we move more into AI and robotics and they start losing their jobs. But where we want to see is like the average comic book, let's say a couple $100, couple $1,000, something that, the average person can get afford into. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's even too expensive. Maybe $10 max. Well, that's something more like new comic books. But in general, you want those comic books that people are like trying to get there, really want to get, not this, you go to a local comic shop and pick up one for like $5. So that's where you want to see those comics go up. Those ones getting better prices. Now, it's been going on for cards. Cards have been going up quite a bit in that lower level stuff, the hundreds and $1,000 range. So they've been gaining in value. So that's good. But it just really hasn't hit comics yet. So I'm hoping maybe this will be the catalyst. A comic selling from 9.1 million. So it begs the question, what is a Action number 1 and a 9.0 sell for? That's over 10. That's probably too close to 11 or 12 million for an Action number 1, because the hierarchy for comic books, it goes Action number 1, Detective 27, then you could argue Superman 1 at the third place. So that's kind of interesting. 9.1. What did you guys think it would go for? I personally, if you would have told me before it even started, would it go for this price? I would have said no. But it's like there's these people with money that just seem like endless amounts of money to spend on whatever they want, and the average person does not. So very interesting to see. Very interesting times. The crazy thing was this person found this in an attic. Yeah, their mother died, and they went in the attic and they found like a handful of comic books, like 6 or 7 comic books, all in really nice shape. Old Superman comic books that are Superman number 1, some old Actions. And that's just crazy to find that. Like, can you imagine just going in an attic and it's like, boom, just found like $13 million in comics, just like that. Kind of crazy. But yeah, so lucky for them. They're set for life. Oh, we're going to mom's house. Let's clean out this terrible attic. What are these, some old comic books? And it makes me wonder, I'm like, did they even know that they're handling well? What if they just pick them up? What is it? I don't know. And they're handling around, like put a little dent or a tear in it. But yeah, all these years staying in such great shape. But anyways, so record has been broken, 9.1. Like I said, the previous record was 6 million for a comic book. I think the highest for a Fantasy 15 was like 3-point-something million. I could be wrong. I'm going off my memory. But yeah, 9.1, record's broken. What do you think? What do you think this means for the overall comic market in general? Do you think this is a good or a bad thing? Obviously, it's a good thing, but do you think this will help the lower end stuff, the average people stuff? What do you think? Anyways, let me know. Have a great day.